now see, Krishna is saying, this is the intelligence of the intelligent, the cleverness of the most clever, that they can take that which is temporary and illusory, and in exchange, they can attain me. Krishna, I am real, and I am eternal and immortal. They also become immortal. So what is it that is temporary and illusory, by which we can attain that which is eternal and real? Temporary is this human body, gross body and subtle body. This is temporary, and it is illusory in the sense that it is not our identity. Only in this sense. The mature body is ontologically real. However, our sambandha, the relationship of our soul with this body, is unreal. Shri Vishnu Thakur has given the example of the rabbit's horns. What is the relationship between a rabbit and the horns? Have you seen a rabbit with horns? No. There's a reason for that. And the reason is that rabbits don't have horns. So the relationship between the rabbits and the horns is nothing. Nothing at all. So similarly, that's the relationship between your soul and this body. Nothing. So it's illusory. However, due to Maya, Shri Krishna's inconceivable external potency, we are identifying with this physical form. But that is not entirely useless, because that with which we have a relationship which is illusory and which is temporary, this physical body and mind can be utilized in sadhana bhakti. And by engaging it fully, all body, mind and senses, in the continuous and uninterrupted service of Sri Krishna, we can attain Krishna himself and the immortal, eternal relation, loving relationship with him. So this is the best business plan for everyone. Are you ready to sign up for this business? Yes. No, everything else will be a loss. This is the only profitable business. So, how do we engage this body and senses in sadhana? Chaitanya Mahaprabhu told Tarma Desavasasta Nam Sankirtan Niraparad Nam Lale Pai Prema. Of all the different practices of sadhana, Hare Nam Sankirtan, the chanting of the holy names is the best. If you chant without committing offense, you will attain Krishna Prema. That's all you have to do. Between you and the perfection of life, only 10 things are standing in the way. There are 10 offenses described in Padma Purana. If you can just avoid them, then simply by singing and dancing in the company of devotees, especially under the guidance of a pure and realized Vaishnava, you'll become perfect. It's that simple. Therefore, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has summarized the entire process of Harinam Sankirtan. Chaito Darpana Marjanam Baba Mahadavagni Nirvapanam Sayakairva Chandika Vitaranam Vidyavadu Jivanam Anandam Buddhivardhanam Pratipadam Punam Mitaswaranam Sarvatmastapanam Param Vijayate Sri Krishna Sankirtanam. Oh, glories to Sri Krishna Sankirtan. What does Sankirtan mean? Bahu Bhim Militva. When many persons come together and with joy they sing the names of God. This is called Sankirtan. So this Sankirtan, all devotees singing the holy names together. Srila Jiva Goswami, Sri Bhakti Sandarbha explains, it is more powerful than your personal japa. It will produce the Adbhut Bhav, astonishing, ecstatic realizations come from Nam Sankirtan. And therefore, when Sri Krishna himself came to this world, Apani karimu bhakta bhavayangi kai, apani achari bhakti shikamu sabai, he said, I will take the mood of a devotee and I'll teach everyone how to practice bhakti by my own example. So what did he do? Every day, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu with Nityananda Prabhu, Advaita Acharya, Gadadhar Pandit, Srivas Thakur, Haridas Thakur and other associates, he was dancing through the streets of Navadvip, chanting the holy name. And then in the evening time, for a change, he used to go to the house of Srivas Thakur, Srivasangam, the courtyard of Srivas Thakur. And what would he do? Harinam Sankirtan. All night. So, Sri Krishna himself in the form of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu showed us the way forward. Srinivasa Acharyas glorified the six Goswamis. You know, our six Goswamis, they have written many books. But don't think they were like bookworms. Always like in Sat Goswami Astakam, the first thing he said, Krishnot Kirtana Gananatana Paro Premamritambo Nidhi. Krishna Utkirtan, singing loudly the holy names. Gana, Natana, dancing. Premamritambo Nidhi. And always immersed in the ocean of praying. So Sankirtan means Kirtan with some. Some here means Samyak Rupain, complete. The complete Kirtan. The significance of complete Kirtan is the Kirtan which is performed without offense, without anartha, with sambandha gyan, understanding the relationship between Atma and the Supreme Lord, and in sadhu sangha. So when Kirtan is performed without offense, without anartha, with sambandha gyan, understanding the relationship between Jiva, Brahma and Maya, and in sadhu sangha, that is called Sarvato Bhavain Kirtan, or Sankirtan, the Kirtan which is complete. The sense in which it is complete, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, Nava Vida Bhakti Nama Hoite Hoi. Nava Vida Bhakti Purna Nama Hoite Hoi. Means that even though there are 9 types of Bhakti, Shravanam, Kirtanam, Smaranam, Archanam, Vandhanam, Dasam, Sakyam, Atma Nivedanam, or we can say 64 angas of Bhakti. But Navavida Bhakti Purna Nama Hoite Hoi, each one of those practices of Bhakti is an anga. It is one part of the manifestation of the devotional energy Bhakti. But Sankirtan is Samyak Rupain Kirtan. It is complete. In other words, the effect that you can get from practicing any or all of the angas of Bhakti will accrue to you simply by Sankirtan. And therefore, it is complete. It is a complete process. It is an independent process. It does not depend on any other activity for its perfection. It does not depend on your being learned, on your being wealthy, on your being healthy, or young, or whatever caste, or creed, or anything at all. It is Sankirtan, the complete anga of Bhakti. This is what Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is teaching in his Shikshastra. So, This Sankirtan has 7 wonderful effects, beginning with Chaito Darpana Marjana. It cleanses the mirror of the Chitta. Chitta. So, immediately when we hear Chaito Darpana Marjanam, then 4 questions arise. 1. What is Chitta? 2. Why is Chitta like a mirror? 3. If this mirror needs to be cleaned, what is the dirt which is on the mirror? And 4. How is it that this mirror becomes cleansed by Harinam Sankirtan? Understand? So, Chaito Darpana Marjanam, this phrase, it raises these 4 questions. What are the 4 questions? I'm just checking to make sure no one's sleeping. What are the 4 questions?
What is Chitta?
What is Chitta then? Why is it compared to a mirror? Yes, then? What is the dirt? Yes, and how is it that this dirt is cleansed away by this complete and perfect process of chanting? So we want to explore these points one by one today. First of all, what is Chitta? In Srimad Bhagavatam, in the 2nd canto, you see several descriptions of the universal form and the way in which this universe is created by Mahavishnu, Garbhadakasha Vishnu and Kiradakasha Vishnu. In the 3rd canto, you'll find more explanations about the manifestation of the individual elements or the evolutes of Prakriti. Several discussions you'll find there. So in the first 3 cantos of Srimad Bhagavatam, you find about 7 different explanations of creation. And again, if you go to the 11th canto, you'll find more detailed explanations of the same subject there. So a question may come, why is Srimad Bhagavatam dedicating so much time to this? And this is essentially Jnana Yoga, and hearing it is meant to help us develop discrimination. Discrimination. Because generally we look at life and we assume so many things. I am a male, I am female, I am living in this country, and we see ourselves in a whole historical context. Oh, before we were part of the Soviet Union, and now we have broken free from the tyranny, and now Lithuania is part of Europe. So there's a whole narrative going on in the mind of the people, which they tell themselves about reality. So Srimad Bhagavatam wants to replace that narrative with actual truth, the actual narrative of what's going on. And what is going on here? See, Krishna's material energy is called Prakriti. Mayadhyakshena Prakriti Suyate Sacharacharam. In Gita, Sri Krishna said, this material energy, under my supervision, literally, supervision, Krishna's vision is super. By the glance of Mahavishnu towards Prakriti, that is his desire, Prakriti is inspired to manifest the universe. So Prakriti means the unmanifest, total potential material energy. There's nothing tangible there. The 3 modes of material nature, Sattva, Rajas and Tamas, are present in Prakriti, and they are present in exactly the same proportions, and therefore they are in complete equilibrium. So there's no kriya, there's no activity in Prakriti. It is a state of readiness for creation. It is a state of potential. So, by the glance of the Lord, which carries the power of time, then the equilibrium of Prakriti is broken. And when the equilibrium of Prakriti is broken, the first element manifests. And the first element is called Mahat Tattva. Mahat. It is a Tattva, the first element, Mahat Tattva. And it is, of all the mature elements, the most extremely sattvic element. So Sattva is luminous, light, clear, illuminating, self-luminous, very fine, very responsive. Then Rajas appears. And when this Mahattat is contaminated by, which is mainly Sattvic, I just want to say that the Mahat is never fully, it is not Shuddha Sattva, completely pure. Even if hypothetically it were completely pure, it is still not the Vishuddha Sattva, the transcendental energy, and can never be. Because the Vishuddha Sattva is Antaranga Shakti, the internal potency of Lord, and Prakriti is the external potency. So it doesn't matter how pure Sattva becomes, it's never called Vishuddha Sattva. So, but because the three gunas are never separated from each other, so some Rajas and Tamas is there, they never, no guna can exist in isolation from the others. But it's the highest concentration or proportion of sattva possible in Mahatattva. Now, when Rajas becomes predominant, that's the first time that Kriya Shakti, that is the power of action, movement, makes its appearance in the world. So the Rajasic transformation of Mahat is called Sutra Tattva. Sutra Tattva. You can read about this in the 3rd canto, teachings of Lord Kapil Dev to Devahuti, and 11th canto, Sri Krishna's teachings to Sutra. So this Sutra Tattva is the Mukhya Pran. It is the original Pran, or active principle, life force, or vitality of the universe. Anything which has power of movement derives its power from this initial appearance of Kriya Shakti, the action potency, in the form of the Sutra Tattva. Then, gradually Mahat becomes more contaminated. And the Tamasic Mahat, the Tamasic transformation of Mahat is called Ahankar, the element of ego. Now that ego also divides into 3. The ego which is slightly more sattvic, slightly more rajasic, and more tamasic. So the sattvic transformation of ahankara, of ego, produces the element manas, mind. So that's what all the stuff going on in your head is made of. Right? All your thoughts and so on. They are just the movements of this element of manas, which is a sattvic transformation of ahankar, which is a tamasic transformation itself of mahat. Right? Is it clear? We can make a diagram, sorry. So, then, the rajasic transformation of ahankar makes a buddhi, intelligence, and your 10 senses, 5 knowledge acquiring senses, Jnanendriya, that is the eyes, not the eyeball, but rather the sense, the power to see, the power to hear, the power to smell, the power to touch, and the power to taste. These are the Jnanendriyas, the senses through which we acquire data about the external world. And 5 Karmendriyas, active or working senses. The power of speech, the power to grasp, the hands, the power to be mobile, the legs, the power to reproduce, the genital, and the power to evacuate. Then, the tamasic transformation of ahankar is called shabda, material sound. And that is the subtle cause of the element called akash, space. And then comes the sense of touch, the sense object, the tanmatra. So you have the sense of touch and the object that the sense of touch experiences, the qualia. It's called in Western philosophy, qualia. So the tanmatra of touch is a subtle cause of air. Then there is form, rup, is a subtle cause of fire. Then taste, the subtle cause of water, and fragrance, the subtle cause of earth. So in this way, all the elements from Mahat, they develop one by one until you have the whole universe. So now you can discriminate what's going on. You can see what's going on. All that is happening is, in this world, three gunas are competing with each other and producing so many forms, which like bubbles in the ocean, come into existence and then pop and disappear again. Ocean stays there. That is the Prakriti is like an ocean. So Prakriti is always there. But the products of Prakriti are coming and going, appearing and then disappearing without a trace. And the souls, millions of souls, countless souls in this world are identifying with those waves and bubbles in that material ocean. Sometimes laughing, sometimes crying, and basically getting really emotional over stuff that doesn't matter. Okay? This is why in the beginning of Bhagavad Gita, millions of warriors on the side of the Kauravas and millions of warriors on the side of Pandavas have all come together to fight and kill each other. Arjuna tells Krishna, take my chariot between the armies. And he looks, he sees friends, he sees relatives, he sees his teachers on both sides. And now it's inevitable that they'll all be massacred. And Arjuna has a nervous breakdown. He has an emotional crisis and puts down his bow and says, I will not fight. And what is Krishna doing? Vyasadeva has written, then Krishna, smiling in the midst of the armies. Krishna is just smiling. So does he know something that we don't know? Why is he smiling? Because for Krishna there is no suffering. Understand? Suffering is the happiness and distress of this world is a vikar, transformation of your psychological body. So the psychological body is made of mind, intelligence, ego and Cipta. So these elements are dead, they have no feeling. And the soul never undergoes any vikar, it's nirvikar, it never transforms. So where is the suffering? Nowhere. So Krishna is smiling. For him there's no suffering. Because he's in knowledge. Only those who are in ignorance or in illusion think that there's such a thing called suffering. So Krishna told Arjuna in the very beginning of Gita, Asocha and Anvasocha stam pragyabhadang chabasase gathasun agathasuns cha nanu sochan tipandita. Hey Arjuna, you are speaking very learned words, but you are lamenting for what is not worthy of grief. Because a pandit, a wise person, never laments for the living or the dead. When you win the lottery, he does not feel happiness. And when you are dying slowly because your house is burning down, he does not feel any sadness. Pandit, this is a pandit, a learned person. But because of our uncontrolled mind, we are projecting onto this movement of the material ocean. Though we are Atma, though we are transcendental, though we are never actually in bondage. Soul is vimuktasya, always in a liberated state. The soul cannot be in bondage. But due to ignorance, we think that we are in bondage. Kapil Dev said, Sayam Bhagavato Maya Yanyayena Virudhyate Ishvarasya Vimuktasya Karpanyam Uttabandhanam. The external material energy is the Maya, the illusory potency of God. Yanyayena Virudhyate. And it has the power to contradict the Nyaya. Nyaya means logic. If you try to use Nyaya, logic, to understand reality, you will understand nothing. Because the internal potencies are chincha, inconceivable. And the external potency is a chincha, also inconceivable. And the Jiva Shakti is also inconceivable. And therefore Vedanta gives a conclusion, Tag apatishtanat, by logic you cannot understand anything. But still, Shastra, there is something called Shastra Yukti, the logic of the scriptures. The scripture appeals to our reasonable nature and reveals to us the things that we would not be able to understand by our own logical processes. So in this sense, in the beginning, to be rational and try to understand what the scriptures are telling us is extremely helpful in the beginning. So, where are we? We are discussing the elements of the universe. Now, the first element, the potential and sattvic energy, is called
Cipta.
Mahat. Yes. Now, all of these elements are in your body. You know, earth is in your body, water is in your body, fire is in your body, digesting your food and so on. Mind, intelligence, ego, everything. So, there is a portion of Mahat, which is part of your Shukshma Shriya subtle body. Your subtle body, Shukshma Shriya, has mind, intelligence, ego, and Mahat. So, the portion of Mahat, which is part of your subtle body, which is part of the covering of your soul, that is called Chitta. So Chitta and Mahat is the same. Only when it's in the universe, it's called Mahat, and that portion of that which is part of your psychological body is called Chitta. Understand? If you lost at any point, or if you have a question, you can raise your hand. Because I want everyone to be on the same page. No one should be lost or left behind. We can all go on this journey together to go to Vrindavan. We don't want to leave anyone behind. So this is the Chitta. So we have to know what are the functions of Chitta. In the third canto, chapter 26, verse 23, there Kapil Dev describes the vrittis, or the functions, the lakshan, the symptoms of Chitta. He says, Swachatvam, Avikaritvam, Shantatvam, iti chetasaha. These are three characteristics of the element of Chitta when it's pure. Here pure only means sattvic, because it's sattvic element. Mode of goodness. So the first one is very important. Swachatva means clear. So in the commentary on this, our acharyas like Sridhar Swami, Jiva Goswami, Vishwacharya Thakur, they have glossed the word Swachatva, clearness, with Bhagavad Bimba Grahitvam. Bhagavad Bimba Grahitvam. Grahit means to catch. or accept, to grasp. Grahitvam. So grahitvam means the quality of being able to catch. And the word bimba means reflection. And Bhagavad means God. So here, Bhagavad Bimba Grahitvam, clearness in this context means the ability to catch the reflection of the form of God. Very wonderful. Now I want to try to describe a little bit about how the chitta works for the general person in every day. The chitta is the mechanism of perception. I'll give an example. If you take a smartphone in camera mode and you point it at something, then what happens to the screen? The screen transforms and produces an exact replica of the thing which is in front of the lens. Right? So if I point it at your face, then I look at my screen, I can see your, it's not your face, it's a replica of your face made of pixels. Right? Your face is one thing, but I'm seeing here, as a general sense, I'm seeing your face on my phone. Huh? But actually, I'm seeing a replica of your face made by pixels, because the screen has responded to the light, it is transformed and made a replica of what was in front of the lens. Okay? So that's what chitta does. When your eye looks in the direction of something, then the light, the element of fire emanating from that object goes through the eye and then comes to the chitta. And the chitta transforms and makes a replica of that object. Now you are the soul. You're not the eye, you're the soul. And your soul is looking at the chitta. And so you never actually see the outer world. Everything that you're looking at every moment is a facsimile of the outer world in your own chitta. Do you understand? Is that clear? This is why we all see the world in a slightly different way. Because our chittas are, someone's more sattvic, someone's more rajasic, someone's more tamasic. You see? You see? Also from this you can understand, here's another proof that you never see the world directly, but you see a copy, a facsimile of the world in your own chitta. And that is the phenomena of hallucination. You see, if a person has a very high fever, 105 degrees, they're about to die. Who ever had fever like that? Malaria, typhoid. The prana is so disturbed, your chitta is so disturbed, that it cannot make an accurate facsimile of what you're seeing. And so you start to hallucinate. And things start moving, and it's out there, the things out there start moving. But it's not, they're not out there, they will never, the things are there, but what you're seeing is your own chitta. Also, if a person is under the influence of a drug, the drug disturbs their prana, and then the prana disturbs the chitta, so they start to hallucinate. You see? So the chitta is involved in the mechanisms of perception. Now, when your chitta is affected by the mode of passion and the mode of ignorance, so then you perceive your own ego. That's the first thing you perceive. I am whatever. And then after your ego, through the lens of that ego, you perceive the world. You perceive your own mind and intelligence and so on, and the external world. But everything is going through the filter of the ego. And all of these elements, whether it's ego, intelligence, mind, or so on, these are all only vikar. That is called vikar, transformations of chitta, caused by the mode of passion and ignorance. Okay? Your ego, your intelligence and your mind, they're all transformations of that chitta in a contaminated state. You see? Just if you have milk, you can turn it into yogurt. And you turn the yogurt, you can turn it into butter, and then you can melt that and make ghee, like that. So just as from one substance, milk, the other substances, yogurt, butter and ghee come. So from the one substance, your chitta came, your ego, your intelligence and your mind. Like that. They're just different stages of contaminated chitta. So this answers the question, what is the dirt on the mirror of the chitta? Contaminated chitta is your ego, your intelligence and your mind. So what happens is, as you practice devotional service, it drives away the influence of the gunas. By practicing bhakti, tadara jastumo bhava, kamalabha jaste, chaita eta anavidham, stitam sattve prasidati. In the beginning of Srimad Bhagavatam, there Sutta Goswami is saying that when you practice bhakti with nishtha, steadiness, then the effect of rajagun, lust, and tamagun, anger, and so on, they go down, down, down. Chaita, eta, anavidam. And gradually, the chitta is anavida. It's not pierced. It's not obstructed anymore by these obstacles. Stitam sattva prasidati. And then you become fixed in sattva. So, when chitta is purified, chaito darpana marjanam, the contaminations of the chitta are cleansed by chanting the holy name. Then the chitta's own natural inherent qualities begin to manifest. Instead of just becoming a medium for perception of the world, and the medium by which we have a worldly ego, identity and so on, it comes into its natural state. It's not oscillating anymore. I also want to say, when we speak about contamination, the contamination is not like taking some trash and throwing it in your room. You take your dustbin and someone throws it in your room and it's full of trash. So the contamination of the chitta is not like that. The contamination is the chitta vikar. That the chitta by nature is smooth and clear like glass. But when you taste this world, you try to enjoy this world, then in order to have a perception, the chitta transforms and makes that object. That's called a pratyaya. For example, if I hold up this book and you look at it, now your chitta makes the shape of this book and you're looking at that shape in your chitta. Now when I take it away, now it's also gone from your chitta. Right? But if I ask you to remember it, what does the book look like? You can bring it back. That means when you're having a direct experience, that transformation of chitta is called pratyaya. And then, when the object disappears, the object remains in the form of a samskar. That's an impression. It's an impression. So everything that you experience in your life is recorded in your chitta in the form of an impression, samskar. And that may not be in your conscious mind. Like right now in your conscious mind, you can't remember all the things that happened to you. But in your subconscious mind, everything that happened to you in your life, no, everything that happened to you in your last life and a life before that and millions of lifetimes without beginning is already there, recorded in your chitta. Of these samskars in the chitta makes the chitta become darkened. And so ahankara or ego is nothing but a dense, dark mass of millions of sanskars combined together to make your ego. That's all. Now your life, what is life? You wake up in the morning and you think, what will I do today? So then you have a desire. I'm going to go to the cinema. Where did this desire come from? You have a sanskar in your subconscious mind. And according to certain circumstances, those are triggered and they come into your conscious mind. So an impression of going to the cinema before, in your last life, or in this life, was triggered by some circumstances. And it came from the subconscious mind into your conscious mind. But due to ego, you are thinking, I just had an idea. Then someone tells you, don't go to the cinema, it's not good. And then you say, no, I'm independent. I can do what I want. But the fact is, the desire in the first place was not your independent desire. It was never your choice. Who's pro-choice? You're not choosing at all. All your so-called choices that you're making day to day are simply the echoes or the reactions of the past life sanskars. Finished. So all the people who think they are free and independent and all these things, they are, from the Vedic point of view, clinically insane. From the point of view of a sadhu, they're all mad. Rupa Goswami said, Yo jnanama tambu valamdailo ulangya apramatam. That Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, seeing that all the people of the world were completely mad and in ignorance, he decided to make them become mad with Krishna praying by distributing the holy name. So, the general person is quite mad. They're thinking they are free and they're independent, and all the time they're just stuck in this chain reaction under the control of past life sanskars in their chitta. So what we want to do is this chitta, just like if you walk on the beach in the wet sand, after you walk there, there's samskar, impression in the sand, right? But when the waves of the ocean come in and go out again, then the sand is smooth. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is saying, Sarvatma Snapanam Param. We want to do the Atma Snapanam. Bathe your soul, bathe your chitta, bathe your intelligence, bathe your determination. Here Atma means all of these things. It means intelligence, it means determination, it means body, mind. So Atma has many meanings. So Mahaprabhu says, Sarvatma Snapanam Param. We want to have a complete immersion in the holy names. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. And it will eradicate the influence of tamas and rajas from your chitta and make your chitta smooth again. And when the chitta is smooth, completely smooth, that is called swachatvam. Then it acquires a capacity, swachatvam, bhagavad bimba grahitvam, the power to catch the reflection of the form of Krishna himself. Understand? So when you chant the holy name to the point when your chitta becomes smooth, then the form of Krishna, without any imagination, without any speculation, without any effort at all, manifests his beautiful Sham Tribanga Lalita Swarup, standing in threefold graceful bending form, manifests in your chitta, naturally, automatically. that is the reflection of his form. So that is called Nam Abhas. When the Abhas of Sri Krishna is reflected in your purified Cipta, by chanting without offense, that means chanting Nam Abhas, then you have this internal perception. That is also called Spurti. A Spurti is a vision, maybe a very momentary vision, maybe extended. But the awakening of the form of Krishna in your heart naturally coming from Nam Abhas. This is where we want to be. This is the first beginning realization. So, now we're discussing 3 symptoms of the purified Cipta. First one is, what's the first symptom of purified Cipta? Swachatvam. Yeah. So that is Bhagavad Bimbagrahit. Now the second one, the second symptom is Avikaritvam. Vikar means transformation. So before your Citta was oscillating, it was being moved by the mode of passion. So of course, if you're looking at the reflection in a moving surface, you don't get a true image. If you look at yourself in still water, you can see clearly. But if the water is moving, then everything is distorted. So as long as your Citta is undergoing vikar, transformation, you are having a distorted vision of the world, of yourself. In fact, in the Yoga Sutras, Patanjali said, as soon as there is a Citta vritti, a movement, a modification within the Citta, then you lose consciousness of your own swarup. That means of your own spiritual nature. We're all spiritual beings. But as soon as there is Citta vikar, then we become lost in that vikar and we lose our own self-awareness. Vritti swarupyam itaratra. The third sutra of Yoga Sutras. Vritti swarupyam itaratra. The fourth sutra. So, this second symptom of purified Citta, avikaratvam, no oscillation of the Citta. So that is actually the definition of yoga according to Patanjali. Yoga's Citta vritti nirodhaha. Yoga means the complete cessation of modifications of the Citta. That's Patanjali's definition. That is for us in the path of bhakti, an aspect of the definition, but not the complete definition. The complete definition of yoga for us is the cessation of modifications of the Citta, which is a side effect of focusing the Citta on the lotus feet of Krishna. Excellent. Because this cleansing of the Citta takes place automatically simply by turning the attention to Krishna. And the reason for that is that the only reason the Citta is oscillating is because we have turned our attention away from Krishna. In other words, the cause of our material existence is simply vimukata, indifference. We're just indifferent to Krishna. We're not attentive to Krishna. Don't care about Krishna. We know Krishna's okay. You have a deity, put him on a shelf in a box, he'll be fine. Don't forget to feed yourself, wash yourself, bathe yourself, dress yourself. But Krishna, he's fine. Right? So this is vimukata, indifference to Krishna. This indifference to Krishna is the cause of all the oscillations of the Citta. It's the cause of our material experience. Therefore Chaitanya Mahaprabhu taught Sanatana Goswami, Krishna boli say jiva anadir bahimukh, because the jiva is bahimukh or vimukh, inattentive to Krishna. Therefore, atayeva maya taridiya sansara dukh. Therefore, Maya is inflicting all the various problems of material life. So the second symptom of the pure citta is adhikaratvam, the condition of being without modification. Now, our acharyas have also glossed that, given synonyms for this, adhikaratvam. It means lai vikshep adi rohita. Lai means laziness. That is caused by mode of ignorance. And vikshep means distraction. Adi means etc. All the byproducts of distraction. So, and rohita means without. So, lai vikshep adi rohita, without the inertia or dullness of mind and of tamas, and without the unsteady, flickering nature, distracted state of mind coming from rajas, etc. Therefore, to be free from vikshep rahita, free from distraction, that is called ekagrata, one-pointedness. One-pointedness. So there are two things, they are the correlative terms. Ekagrata, one-pointed, and vikshep, going all over the place. Distraction. So either your attention is focused or it's jumping here and there, like a grasshopper, going from Facebook to email, like this, going to this thing, that thing, that thing. So the general people today, they're very much in a state of vikshep, distraction. Very difficult for them to concentrate. The clinical term is attention deficit disorder. Okay? The inability to focus your attention. So the opposite of vikshep or distraction is ekagrata. Eka means one and agra means point. Ekagrata, one pointedness. In the end of Bhagavad Gita, Krishna said to Arjun, "Hey Arjun, have you listened to this instruction, ekagra chittaikragra, with one-pointed chitta?" Right, in the end of chapter 18. Chittaikragra, he said, "Hey Arjun, did you listen with one-pointed chitta?" Why did he say that? Because when you listen to the holy name, when you listen to Harikatha, when you listen to the description of Krishna with your chitta in ekagrata, then when you hear it, the actual substance is reflected there. In other words, hearing is no longer collecting data or information through the ears, but rather, this is called shutekshitapata, the path of seeing through your ears. So Sravanam doesn't mean listening. Sravanam means seeing through your ears. That is actually Sravanam. So if when listening to the description of the beauty and pastimes of Krishna, if you did not see Krishna, then you have never done Shravanam. Please, understand it. You have never done Shravanam. Perhaps you've heard of something called Bhakti Adhikar. We just sang the song of Srila Narottam Das Thakur. Gaurangir Guneti Jure Nitilila Taraspuroi Say Jana Bhakti Adhikari. The one who has become absorbed in remembering the qualities of Gauranga, by this he becomes Bhakti Adhikari, eligible for Uttama Bhakti, transcendental Bhakti. It has also been described by Srila Jiva Goswami in Bhakti Sandarbha. Pratamam namna Shravan antakaranam shuddhyatam apeksham shuddhe cha antakarane rupa shravanena tadudo yogyata bhavati. Here's Srila Jiva Goswami. In Bhakti Sandarbha, he wants to dedicate several chapters to explaining to us exactly what each anga of bhakti is. What is, first of all, Sharanagati, surrender. And then after that, what is hearing? And then there are chapters on chanting, remembering, and so on, just so that we can learn what these words actually mean in the association of Vaishnavas. So, in regard to hearing, he said, Pratamam namna shravana antakarnam shuddhatam apeksham. In the beginning, the ability to hear the name of Krishna. We're not even talking about description of his form or pastime. The ability to just hear his name depends on antakarna shuddhatam apeksham. It depends on the purity of antakarna. Here, antakarna is a technical term. It literally means the inner sense. So you have outer senses, you know, seeing, hearing, tasting, smelling, walking, talking. And you have antakarna, the inner sense is your psychological body. So the antakarna includes all the four psychological elements: mind, intelligence, ego, and Cipta. These four together are called the antakarna. So he's saying, in the beginning, the ability to hear the name of Krishna depends on the purity of your antakarna. And only when Shuddhaj antakarane, at the point when your antakarana is pure and you're really hearing Krishna's name, you're really hearing his name, then rupa shravanena, when you hear a description of Krishna's form, tad udoy yogyata bhavati, then you become yogyata, an eligible candidate for the form of Krishna to awaken in your citta. You see? So that is hearing. That is hearing. Huh? Then he said, when the form, samyak rupe, when the form has awakened fully in your heart, when you hear about Krishna's qualities, how? Oh, his skin is so soft. If a leaf from a tree will fall and land upon the skin of Krishna, when you take it away, you will see the shape of the leaf is there. That's how soft he is. Very soft. He's very fragrant. He's very kind. He's a genius. Very nice. So Krishna, 64 qualities of Sri Krishna have been described in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. Once the form has awakened fully, when you hear about those qualities, only then will the qualities awaken within your heart. And when the qualities are fully awakened, when you hear about the parikars, the associates of Krishna, then those associates begin to awaken in your heart. Who are Krishna's associates? Well, first and foremost, Srimati Radhika. You cannot tell she's exactly a parikar, but she associates with him. She's his own Swarup, his own Shakti directly. And then her expansions. Lalita, Vishaka, Cipta, Tampaka, these are the parikars. Rupa Manjari, Rati Manjari. Those associates will awaken in your heart. Now, as you know, Raganuga Bhakti means the bhakti which follows the rag of the associates. So, unless and until the actual forms of the associates have awakened in your heart, how can you follow them? You simply cannot. And any attempt to follow them will be kalpana, imagination. So, kalpana, we are discussing now the qualities of the citta. Kalpana, imagination, is a quality of buddhi, intelligence. And buddhi is rajasic ahankar. So how is it possible that a passionate transformation of your ego can recreate the forms of the associates? And you follow that. Is that Raganuga Bhakti? No. That is Sahajiyism. So, Swachatvam, Avikaratvam. Then the next quality, santatvam, peacefulness. That you become peaceful. So in the commentaries of the acharyas, they have glossed the word santatvam with raga adi rahita. Being free from here, rag doesn't mean transcendental rag. It means attachment. Rag and dvesh, attachment and aversion. Anger, fear and so on. So that is the nature of Chitta in its natural state. And therefore, Sutta Goswami is saying, Nashta prayeshu abhadreshu nityam bhagavata sevaya bhagavati uttama shloke bhaktir bhavati naishtiki. It means Nashta prayeshu abhadreshu, when there is the not complete destruction of all contamination, but most of the contamination, most anarthas have been destroyed. Then a portion of your chitta becomes exposed. And this will come by Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya, serving the book Bhagavatam and the person Bhagavatam daily. You know, now there's a fashion, you can come to any Rasik, so-called person, and they'll give you Siddha Pranali. Then you go away and you try to meditate on your Swarup. What will happen? Nothing. Because first you have to develop the adhikar, the qualification to actually know how to hear and chant and remember properly. So for that you'll have to go through Anartha Nivritti. And that comes from Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya. Hearing Srimad Bhagavatam from pure devotees daily and serving them. Tadvidi pranipatena pariprashnena sevaya. Without serving devotees. Chadiya Vaishnava Seva Nistara Payachikeva. Srila Narottam Das Thakur said, was anyone who gave up serving Vaishnavas, were they ever liberated from this world? It's a rhetorical question. And the answer is no. Without daily engaging yourself in the service of your spiritual master and pure devotees, one will never develop the adhikar to even understand what bhakti is. After many years, you still not have a clue what is. You think what you're doing is bhakti, but it is something else, bhakti abhas. So, first stage, serve your Gurudev as much as you can, day and night, with your heart and soul, by body, mind and words, fully. And hear the Srimad Bhagavatam and the teachings of Srimad Bhagavatam, slowly, slowly. You see, Bhagavatam is the Purana of the holy name. Each of the episodes of Srimad Bhagavatam teaches us something vital that we must know in order to chant purely. And therefore, Srila Vishnu Thakur has explained the word here, Nashta Preshu Abhadreshu. The word Abhadra means inauspiciousness. And he said this inauspiciousness is what? Durdaiva, Namapara. In other words, by hearing the Bhagavatam and serving the pure devotees, then the effect of Namaparad goes away. This is really the meaning. The effects of your past Namaparads and your daily habitual commitment of Namaparad, it slows down and almost stops. So then, when you begin to chant Namabhas, the more you chant Namabhas, then this clears the chitta. And Aikagrata comes. So he's saying here, Nityam Bhagavate Sevaya, Bhagavati Uttamasloke, Bhakti Bhavati Naishtiki. Now the word Nishta, steadiness, means Avikaritvam, not transforming. Understand? Nishta, steadiness, means Avikar, not transforming, not vibrating. Or Nishta, Srila Vishnu Thakur glosses the word Nishta with the word Chitaikagra. ekagrata, one pointedness of the chitta. And therefore they said that one becomes situated in irrevocable loving service. In other words, your bhakti now is steady and you don't go back. And what's the reason for that? Because when you get ekagrata chitta, there is bhagavat bimbha grahitva, you actually have internal experience of Krishna. Now you're connected. Sambandha jnana. You're connected now. You know, before you were thinking Krishna true or not true. On your good days you said, yes, Krishna is God. But on those days where things were not going so well, and you drank a few cups of cappuccino, then your mind was oscillating. Then you were thinking, is Krishna really God or not? Should I use my time to chant the holy name, or should I use my time to invest in Maya and get zero returns? Doing material activities. You see? Doubts, sometimes doubts come. So, once one comes in the stage of nishta, avikaratva, swachatvam, santatvam, ekagrata, then realization appears. And as soon as you catch a little realization, then you know, Krishna is my Supreme Lord. Krishna in Vrindavan. He is the son of Madhya Yashoda. He is my most beloved. Vana Vallabha, Gopi Janna Vallabha, Girivaradhari, Kunj Bihari. And he is beyond this material world. And my eternal relationship is with him and not with anyone or anything else.